Let's see. I'm just gonna go by... I'm gonna go by, like, best to worst, we'll say. I had 2 really good comments. And a bunch of really good critiques. So, these are valid critiques. The story falls apart because the tasks aren't presented as a consequence of Ripto. Small change to the NPC dialogue, and each level could have fixed that. Yeah, but I said this when I made the video too. The actual dialogue that was cut out by Sony, I guess Sony Interactive was the one who made it. It wasn't Insomniac, was it? No, it wasn't Insomniac. Okay, the original dialogue that was cut out, by the way, that was from Elora. Elora basically explains why you're there. Like, she explains what's going on and then that kind of thing, but never explains how they would know Spyro. So even with context, you wouldn't really understand why Spyro's there or how they know his name. Maybe his reputation preceded him and everyone was told of the little purple dragon. Possibly. I would like little stuff like that to be like more prevalent. Okay, all right. So those are the 2 good comments I got. Everything else from this point on is all downhill. I got, dude, this game is iconic, which it is. It's very well known. What else do we got? Like, I don't know. I played it as a kid, 100%ed it as a kid even. Returned to it as an adult along with the reignited version, which is what we're playing today. And I'm still able to enjoy it and complete it. Sure, it has flaws, but I don't think they're enough for me to dislike it or say it's bad. To be fair, I never said that Spyro... Well, I did say Spyro 2 was my least favorite. I never said it was bad. I just thought that the game design mechanics were not very good. There's a part when you face a boss, and let's talk about that for a second too, because somebody had also said... Where is it? Yeah, skill issue with the bosses. Not even trying to goad you with that. It's just true based on your gameplay versus goal. Ripto's disappointing as an adult only because it's so grandiose in concept and presentation, yet easy to the point that you don't get to enjoy it you don't get to enjoy it long enough. And gyms are literally required to progress through the game via moneybags. Okay, I'll give you that. They are technically required. However, I will say that they're not the focus of the game. Which, in the original Spyro, they were. They were the focus of the game as well as freeing the dragons. So that was the one thing that I will say that I'm just like, alright. Agreed, the biggest, this person agrees, says the biggest flaw I find with the game is that it's more like a walk than, like, I guess a walking... More like a walk than a platformer. In other words, too easy. In many ways, the game design in levels was anticlimactic. Same with Spyro 3. Spyro 2 and 3 are still incredibly interesting games, though. Agreed. I would agree with that. But yeah, so let's see. It's weird how they focus so much on bosses when Spyro 1 had poor boss fights. So much so that most of the time you couldn't even tell you were fighting the boss. They just acted as regular enemies. They were pretty lame. I wouldn't agree with that. I would say that the reason you think that is because they were their own level. That every boss in Spyro 1 was its own level. So you had to actually go to the level, beat the level. There were no healing, like no sheep or anything to heal with, right? So Toasty's a good one. I liked what was it? Curly? Was it Curly? Was that the name of it? It's like Curly or Mo or something like that. One of the Three Stooges. It was the lost fourth stooge. And a lot of it's just skill issue, honestly. And I don't say that as an insult, same as the other person. See, this is what I mean. I can't just ignore these comments because they're actually good comments. The only criticism I agree with is how Ripto's disconnected from the events of the levels despite the game placing emphasis on how much of a problem that he actually is, but I disagree with his boss fights. For how much he acts in actual presence, he does have the best boss fights in the series because while Nasty Nork affected the levels, his boss fight is pretty lame. You just chase him through a linear room and flame him, and that's it. I'll agree with that. I agree. In fact, I'm even gonna like that one. I actually agree with that. Let's see. So I'm gonna quickly like the ones that I've already commented on, so bear with me. You said the game was bad because the fixed camera and weird turning only found in the bosses, huh? I think 2 is the weakest of the trilogy, which it is. You made some good points about the game not really feeling like Ripto had anything to do with trouble in each of the levels. To each their own, but I can't agree with your reasons at all. Okay, so this one I've seen a couple times. I've seen a couple people mention this to me, that they didn't understand what I meant by the fixed camera. If we can get into that in this particular video, then that will be great for me. Essentially, when you're playing Spyro 2, when you're playing any Spyro game, you have control over the actual, you have control over like where your camera's facing and when you're running and that kind of thing, right? So you have total control over that the whole time you're playing the games, right? When you're facing against a boss, every time you face against a boss, the camera locks onto the enemy. Like, it locks onto the boss. So you're always facing, the camera's always facing the boss. So I'm simply saying, when I say that it gives you a top-down control scheme versus your normal, like, your normal third-person control scheme, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'll like that one. So this one was my first comment. I was so happy to receive this comment because I've never received any comment outside of my sphere, and it was a negative comment. Now, to be fair, they make good points. But it says, yo, if you hate busy work and are looking for narratively connected activities, you should probably stop playing collectathon platformers made for young children. Skill issue with the bosses, not even trying to goad you, which we did talk about that. And then I got to the rest of that, so I'll agree with that. I'll like that. Yep, already talked about this one. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? Played a skit, 100% it as a kid, returned to it along with that to even complete it. Don't think it's enough for me to dislike it. I'll like that. And this game is iconic. Yes, it is iconic. So I think that's every comment that I've gotten to. Heck yeah. All right, that's all I really wanted to talk about before we started playing the game. I wanted a segment where I talked about the comments that I've gotten, because I do read them. And so I wanted to make sure that it was known that while I may not have initially responded to them, I will say that I do like to talk about it.